Welcome back, Journal 2.0. Once again, I'm your host, HFK. We got a lot of interesting stuff coming your way. Kyle Lennan went on and did a story on urban exploration. Our own Jay Dracul went out to Circa nightclub and covered a fashion show. So this is all coming up. My homie, Andre Williamson, we're going to be watching that right now. He did a story on a biker. Now, we all know a lot of interesting people with stories, but the guy he did the story on has some jaw-dropping tales. You might want to check it out. We'll be right back.
Roll green. Take green.
My name's Scott. I basically, grew up a normal kid, I guess. Family of three. Still lived with my mom for many years. My dad left when I was a kid, but I went to school at Woburn, just down the street, and eventually went to Centennial College for Police Foundations. So during this time, everybody finds themselves rushed, finds what are they going to do with life, where are they going to go in life, and I hadn't answered that question for myself. Who am I going to be? What am I going to be? What kind of man am I going to be? And that's, society would like to rush you at that time, and I had to make a decision. So I decided to go out west. I had always loved the mountains and the trees, and that's just the personality I am. I love the outdoors, and I said, well, let's go work out there for a little bit. I had this opportunity to go tree planting. I got hired by a company, and they said, hey, come on down. That's basically how it all began. This is where I started, Vancouver. Stayed there a couple days in the dirtiest hostel I've ever been in. I actually went along the 7 highway to Hope, and went north from Hope to Merritt, and got to this place called Rogers Pass. It starts to get to wilderness and forest and just huge evergreen trees, like untouched by man. And this is where I found myself. This is basically where I knew that this is going to be a good trip. I continued on my trip and went to Golden, incredible town. Just continued along the Trans-Canada Highway until I got to Banff National Park. I like the mountains. I like the ruggedness of the mountains, and that's what I was attracted to, and everywhere in BC. Well, I'm starting to get out of there. So Calgary kind of hit a, hard part. Like, I didn't like it very much, and I go to this park. It's in the middle of town, I guess, and I start setting up my tent, and these kids like, 14, 15 years old, like, basically it's their bedtime. They should be, they should be in bed. And I'm setting up my tent, and they start bothering me, right? Like, they start poking my tent and running away. And it's like, I got up, I'm like, oh, these kids are bothering me again. I'm gonna get them, right? I basically open my tent and start chasing. I start getting out and start chasing, like I was gonna start chasing them. And I look up, I'm like, what do you want? Because I saw someone there. It was a cop. And RCMP was like, so why are you here? And I gave him my story. I was like, well, I'm biking home. He's like, oh, okay, so where do you live? I'm like, Toronto. He's like, okay, there's no way. Are you like on drugs? Like, basically he thought I was insane. I started telling him, like, well, I've been doing this bike ride, and he's like, okay, that's amazing, actually. He started believing my story, and he's like, okay, wow, I can't believe what's going on. He's like, okay, man, just get up in the morning and just keep going. We don't want people concerned that you're going to stay here for a long time. He's like, yeah. I'm like, no problem. I'll be out of here early in the morning if I can just get some sleep. He's like, okay, sorry for bothering you. He left. Well, the next day I was hitting Saskatchewan. I'm hitting a new province. I was kind of excited. I was like, yes, a new province. Let's keep going. And I was getting excited again because the prairies were starting to die out here. They were starting to look a little less of wheat, but now a little bit more corn, I guess. So I was getting excited. I was getting closer to Ontario. I finally hit Winnipeg. I stayed there for a few days, kept going, and just kept going. Stopped there, stayed there the night, and started in the morning. I had gotten lots and lots of rest, so I was ready to go, basically. Aurelia is getting very close to Toronto. Actually, it was only 138 kilometers away. Kept in contact with my girlfriend every day, and we decided that Friday at 7 o'clock at night is when I would come home. Slowly rid through Markham Road, all the way down. Slowly as I could, just taking it all in. I hadn't seen Toronto in many months, I guess, and it was good. And I arrived home at my girlfriend's house, actually, and the sweetest and best thing that could ever happen. My friends and my girlfriend were all waiting there with a ribbon across the road, to signify it's the finishing line. Here, you're done. Welcome home. And it was the coolest thing I had seen or ever felt in a long time. And at that point, I knew in my heart that all was better, and that I had accomplished what I wanted to do.
Haha, well, that's some pretty wild stuff. Now let's move it along. You may know fashion recently came to an end, but that doesn't mean the pretty ladies have stopped walking down the runway. Kidrobot came to Circa recently, and covering an event was Jay Dracul. Let's see what he was able to capture. Check it out.
Leon. I work for creative department at Circa, as well as a DJ. For the Kidrobot fashion show, I was the runway model. We had 3 different outfits that we pretty much displayed for the people who were checking it out. And, well, it was simple. I guess just walk and strut your stuff with the clothes on, and just have a good time. I guess the line of clothing is just more towards adults wanting to wear kids' clothing. So it's just like, it's what you see kids wear now, and then what they escalate to be, hey, there's some flashy clothes, I'm gonna wear that. Kanye West ends up wearing it, Jay-Z ends up wearing it, Lupe Fiasco ends up wearing it. It's all the color clash. It's all the neon colors, and it's fun to begin with. So yeah, I guess that's what it's all about, just the funness and the youth. Funness is not even a word. The youth.
Hi, I'm Hans, and I modeled for the Kidrobot show, and I'm male model. Alright. Okay. What's up? I'm Ricky Ray Ray, and I'm a male model for the Kidrobot show. And if you need anything else, like massage or masseuse kind of thing, I'm into that too, so whatevs. Well, basically, I rocked a pair of white jeans, and we had rubber boots supplied by Hunter. My first outfit was like a rugby shirt, pink, with collars out. Second look was just a t-shirt, and it had like it was a navy t-shirt with like a yellow cloud kind of smoking thing on it. And my last look was a striped button-up hoodie, purple and gray, I believe. Could be colorblind, but we'll see. It's because they're just willing to take risks and just to be colorful and flamboyant, usually when everyone's dressing the same and looking all like a 9-to-5 boring that kind of thing.
My name is Byron, aka Jimmy Incubus, aka BG, aka Justin's lover. I work here at Circa in the graphic department. First outfit, I was wearing a green t-shirt with a graphic on it on the front, and black and orange spring summer coat. My second outfit was a feathered pattern t-shirt that was black, and then my last outfit was the hoodie that matched the t-shirt.
Well, Paul Budnitz is the inventor of Kidrobot. He's the creator of everything that you see around here, all these images, all the toys and all the clothing line. Like that's he's the brains behind everything. He is the man. knowing Paul for just a little bit, he's the greatest guy you'll ever meet. The nicest guy, the most down-to-earth guy you'll ever meet. Although people say the same thing, but no, honestly, this guy is just like, he's straight up. He came here when he had a fever for his fashion show.
Energetic, young, and just super fun. Name that, super fun. That's a new word. Super sick as well.
Now I hope you're all taking notes because that was one stellar show. Let's dial it back for a moment while we take a commercial break. It's rare to find an individual who is committed to an art form, especially when we're all aware that the world isn't always lucrative. When you find someone who has both talent and passion for what they do, it's worth a look. Here's Julie Fish profiling an artist who's specializing in abstract monster art. It's pretty cool. Check it out.
Lee Tiffany is a fourth-year painting and drawing student at the Ontario College of Art and Design in Toronto, who is starting to make a name for himself in a world saturated with emerging artists.
My art specifically, I make a little colony of fictional creatures and characters, and they dwell within amongst the sky and the clouds above us and stretch out throughout our atmosphere and throughout our whole universe. I guess I always like drawing cartoon characters. As like, I guess a younger child, I always drew Earthworm Jim and the Ninja Turtles. And then from that it led into, I started skateboarding and I wanted to like replicate the skateboard graphic artists. And then finally what kind of pushed me into this whole series of like lowbrow art is from a CD case, and it had the artist Jeff Soto and Camille Rose Garcia on like that did the illustrative work for it. And then that just opened the doors to all these other artists who work within that genre, and then it's just something I loved and stuck with. I make it up as I go along, and as I'm working on, like usually I'll start with an outer shell or just an outer outline, then I'll start filling in the insides, and as I go I'll start thinking about certain aspects, like if it has like a droopy eye, or I want the creature to look like he's lurking or have like tentacles for fingers, and then I'll keep playing off of that and just keep thinking about it as I'm drawing it, and they kind of like work themselves into their own little creature. Here's a character I've been working on recently, and I called it the Globface Shapeshifter. And what it is just a series of two eyes and a mouth, and it's a little bit of a abstract character in comparison to the rest of the characters I created, where you kind of gotta use your imagination and look into it a little more. Like here, I have this one is, here's the one eye for it, and here's the other eye, and here's the little mouth hiding in the corner. How I came about making this creature, it's that when creatures in the clouds die, their dying bodies fall into the clouds, and as their bodies decompose within the area which like they're laying in, it starts bringing the clouds actually to life, and that's how you get these Globface shapeshifters.
From the 1st to the 24th of February 2008, Lee took part in 08, an art show for fresh new artists at Le Gallery in Toronto.
The show went really good. I got a lot of exposure, and I was able to sell so far 14 out of the 18 pieces I had in there. And all in all, it was a great first experience for having my first show, and I hope there's more to come in the future.
So Lee's work falls into this bracket of character-based graffiti, or at least inspired by graffiti or illustration. And it was some of the first work I'd seen that was coming from a very honest place, where what Lee was doing was very much about the work, not about fashion, not about illustration, not about being cool. It was really work that was coming out of Lee's ideas and interests. I think Lee is just finding his voice in who he is as an artist doing this kind of work. But it really is about making sure that he keeps painting consistently and he keeps developing consistently, because there's nothing worse than kind of stalling out and not being able to hit that next level.
Future plans just to keep showing my art and getting as much exposure as I can. I'm going to start a website this summer, hopefully get a solo show opportunity at the gallery, and just keep going from there, trying to make a name for myself.
For more information on Lure Gallery, go to lure-gallery.ca and keep a lookout for Lee's website, leetiffanyart.com, hopefully coming soon this summer.
Welcome back. From painting to clothing, here's Rob Barker of Icarus Gothic Fashion Clothing to talk to you about his line. How are you doing today, Rob?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. Let's get to the first question. Tell me a little bit about what you do and who you really are.
Well, I have my own business. I make a ton of clothing, like the subculture, kind of like underground stuff, like like for metalhead scene, punk scene, goth scene, that kind of stuff. I do some of the fetish wear and lingerie and whatnot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about your fashion line and how you got into it.
Well, I've always been big on art, right from as a kid, drawing like my own comics and whatnot. And then as went on, I started to drawing more intricate clothing on the people and whatnot, and just with the girls going for parties and whatnot, and start raiding their closets and dressing them up instead of helping them out for prom and whatnot, and then just got into fashion. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What made you decide to get into Gothic fashion as opposed to like mainstream fashion?
Well, I grew up listening to metal, right? Listening to Black Sabbath, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, that stuff. I've always been a dark guy, like drawing, Vikings kill each other, flaming skulls, stuff like that. It kind of works out into my art, in all aspects. I tried doing the fun stuff. I just, colors and whatnot, it doesn't work for me. So.
How do you see the future of Gothic fashion?
Well, right now, the way I see it is, from when I first started doing clothing 5 years ago, and even before that, when I was in school, the Matrixes come out and whatnot, and that kind of really started getting more of alternative clothing mainstream. So there's a lot of alternative clothing, a lot of the punk stuff, and really starting to get more mainstream. So right now, I find really the alternative stuff kind of going like one or two ways, either going more simple to be more incorporated in the mainstream, or going more crazy with like my stuff, all these chains and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And just to really get out there and be more out away from the mainstream. So. Yeah.
Obviously, the fashion line is really interesting, but what kind of clientele do you have?
I have a wide range of clientele, anyways from circus performers to business people, conservative business people wanting a wedding dress. So I've done all kinds of custom wear. Pretty much, you have the idea, I can make it. So it's pretty much anyone.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. What kind of projects are you involved in at the moment?
Right now, I'm putting together my first catalog. I've been doing custom wear for 5 years and a lot of piecework, a lot of fashion shows, more consignment stuff. But for once, I'm finally putting all my ideas together in one book for a catalog, consisting of 4 different lines and a accessory collection of collars and cuffs and whatnot. And I've been working on that full time right now, so that's about it.
That's awesome. Where can us people go to find your clothes and buy them?
Pretty easy. Right now, I have my site. It's a little out of date, but I still have a site, IcarusGothic.com, as well as on Facebook. I have my Icarus Gothic Alternative Clothing group. And I do have a few pieces on selling in Hell's Bells down on Bathurst and Spadina. Sorry, Queen Spadina. And once the catalog's out, hopefully everywhere else. So.
Well, IcarusGothic.com. Add the man on Facebook. Get that stuff. It's really interesting. And I really got to thank you so much for stopping by last minute. And I very much appreciate it. But ever wonder what it takes to get a buff bod? What the hell?
How much time does he have?
Well, tell us a little bit more about, the Gothic line, because, if we want, can we add you on MySpace? Actually, you know what? We're going to have to wrap it up. I'm sorry, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this.
Okay.
Student by day, as he has taken a computer programming course in college, and a professional bodybuilder by night, as he trains every evening.
In 2001, the hardest things to happen to me, I was arrested by the Taliban. I was tortured by Taliban for 1 year. That was the hardest time because of the political and just because we were against the Taliban. And after that, when I released from the Taliban torture, then I couldn't walk for 4 months or 5 months because of they tortured me very hard with the boots, soldier boots, and they wants to kill me, but I had the opportunity to release from the jail. And then after in 2005, I came to Canada. When I was born, when I grew up, just I was a little child, I didn't have the opportunity to continue the exercising, became something because my father, he wished always to I become a Olympic title, Mr. Olympia or a world master champion in boxing. This area where I lived, there wasn't a gym you exercise for your body, make muscle that, and I did in the gym where I boxed, and we had the place to do push-ups and do for your arms, everything. I read about Arnold Schwarzenegger and about his history, how he became Mr. Universe, and it was more interesting for me. That makes me to starting bodybuilding.
Kabir and his fiancée, Farboiud, have been together for over 2 years. He believes that if it wasn't for her, he would not have the same motivation or positive attitude.
At everything he does, he does his best, he tries his best, regardless of all the hardships he's been through, he just survives and he never complains. And he's always up at 6 in the morning, he goes jogging, he goes to school, he goes to the gym twice, he volunteers, he does all these things, and he never complains, he never tells me he's tired. And he has a goal, and he's doing everything he can to achieve his goals.
When we talk about life, Kabir has lived a very hard and painful one. His future plans are to win a bodybuilding competition, start a family, and to open his own gym. Although his past is something he never wants to rewind to, his future is something that he looks forward to.
If you think it's going to get as good as it gets today, then stay tuned because we have a lot more coming up. But first, a short commercial break. As you probably already know, the Donnies are fast approaching. Want to bring home one of the prestigious awards? Then make sure you're really good friends with the teachers. But next is a piece for those who don't really get out of the city. Who says you to get out of the city and the wilderness and explore, discover new things? Kyle Lennan has a piece on urban exploration for those who like to find a little adventure close to their home. Roll it.
Talking to you today about urban exploration. And what urban exploration is simply just exploring abandoned buildings. Okay, so I'm here at the Canadian malting plant with an amateur photographer. And how often do you come down here to take pictures?
Once in a while, when the weather's that nice, I think it's a good spot for photos.
Have you ever been inside it at all?
No, not yet. I'd like to, but it's quite difficult.
What attracts you to a place like this? Like, do you take pictures of other abandoned buildings around the city? Or?
Yeah, it's part of the history of the city. It's different than all the hill condos. It's quite old and yeah, it's unique.
It's built in the 50s and now it's abandoned. But there's been some projects. I know that Metronome Canada wanted to make it into sort of a music museum, but as you can see, that sort of fell through. So we're gonna hopefully get inside, and it's all fenced off all the way around, and there's security guards walking around, but we'll see what we can do. We cannot find a way in. This is Victory Soy Mills. One of the two only remaining settlers of Toronto's port area. E.P. Taylor Victory Mills Company built it in 1943 to store soybeans. There are no plans to remove or reuse this building. As you can see, there is no way in this building. This is the Richard Heard generating station. It is owned by Ontario Power. It opened October 26, 1951 and has been abandoned since 1983. The reason it was abandoned was because air pollution and the city needed more power. Later that week, I went back with my still camera. I got in, but not for long, as security chased me. This is Kyle Lennan, reporting for the Journal.
What I like about this piece is that it shows you don't have to go far from your home to have your own adventure. And you could discover a little bit about the city around you. Stay tuned because we have a lot more coming up. The show is slowly winding, but first we have Justin Moy giving us a look into the new generation's obsession with technology. Are kids today disconnected from the world around them, or are they just keeping up with the latest trends? And what the experts have to say. Let's see what's really going on with this phenomenon.
portable game console, say the Nintendo Lite. I'd have to say it'd be the Mario series. So I'd say Mario Party, Mario Olympics, Super Mario. First of all, it's portable. Second of all, it's very interactive. And third of all, it's at a pretty cheap price. You know, I see some kids sitting around the hallways just playing their games. Tim Hortons, you see them everywhere with Nintendo DS Lites.
Well, they're not allowed at school, but whenever I do have the chance to play with them, I play with them.
Me too.
Mostly it was just for entertainment value. I know it was a lot of fun. They really enjoy spending time on it, and a lot of their friends are into it as well, and it's actually, I find time for them to spend time with their friends and play, and it's good. They really enjoy it. In fact, they do play them a lot in the car, and that sometimes that bothers me a little bit because I don't feel like they're really soaking in the scenery. There's a lot of beautiful things to see outside, and sometimes they're just more captivated by playing their games more than anything else. So I think overall it's positive. Again, they really enjoy doing it, and some of the games they actually have out now are educational in nature, so they can actually learn a few things. She's learning about how to be a vet right now, which is kind of neat. So in that respect, I think they are learning a little bit. The only thing I worry about is sometimes they play them a little bit too long, and that's what we find is sometimes we lose track of how much time they've actually been on them for the day, and that's when I don't like it when I spend too much time doing it.
People who would say that there are certain logical and socially damaging effects handheld console games where one person spends their time kind of in seclusion in their own little world playing these games, are forgetting the fact that people read leisurely in public, that they do things by themselves. And this, in essence, kind of creates independence. You don't need to be socializing with people 24/7 and interacting. It's very important, but just because you're enjoying something that's solitary in a public place isn't an indication of kind of some social ineptness or some, mentally debilitating factor down the line, which is going to stunt your growth and, stymie your ability to socially network down the line. And we have to understand that video games can be intellectually engaging. I mean, there's many different kind of handheld games which promote thought and promote creativity. If you take a look at most video game designers, editors, I mean, they all grew up on console systems, handheld systems. Did this make them worse off? Did this make them, secluded? Did this make them hermits? No. In the end, they still found a way to go out there and socialize and find people with common interests. And if video gaming is an interest, it shouldn't be discriminated against any more so than any other thing that we like to do in our own time. And we have to understand that things that we do in our own time aren't always behind closed doors. Sometimes they're out in public. Maybe I want to sit outside and gaze at the stars. Maybe I want to read a book on a park bench. Maybe I just want to enjoy the weather outside. Maybe I just want to be alone with my own thoughts. But maybe I just want to play a video game. So if we're going to say that that's a bad thing and that makes us socially inept, then we should just start picking on anything that we do alone in our own spare time that doesn't involve socially networking with other people.
Wow, how time flies. If you want to check out all the stories you've seen today, or just, you can't get enough of me, then look us up on YouTube or just go to Centennial On Demand. Once again, I'm your host, HFK, and it was a pleasure entertaining you today. Make sure you check out Aqueous Gothic Fashion Clothing, and take it easy, guys. For Sheezy!